You were not born with limits. You inherited them. You were not born ashamed. You were taught to be. Somewhere along the way, you forgot who you are and began to believe what the world told you to be. You started to see yourself through the eyes of others. You measured your worth by outcomes. You traded your becoming for approval. But beneath it all, something in you has never truly agreed with that trade. There's a quiet ache beneath the noise, a whisper in the moments between distractions, a restlessness that doesn't go away. That's the real you, buried, waiting. Not lost, just unheard. And it's time to return to it. Becoming who you want to be is not a journey of addition. It's a journey of shedding. Shedding the fear that says you're not enough. Shedding the doubt that says you'll always fail. Shedding the need to be liked by people who don't even know who you are. It's not about creating a new self. It's about uncovering the one that's already there, beneath the debris of expectation and comparison. You don't need to become someone else. You need to become who you were before the fear took over, before the world told you to shrink, before you learned to hide your fire to keep others comfortable. There is a strength in you that has not been erased, only buried. A voice that speaks not with volume, but with truth. And the more you listen, the clearer it becomes. Becoming begins with awareness, with watching your thoughts instead of obeying them, with recognizing that the voice that tells you to settle is not your friend, it's your old programming. The warnings you heard from scared people, the hesitation you learned from past pain. And the moment you see that voice clearly, it begins to lose its grip. You are not too late. You are not too broken. You are not too far gone. These are lies built on pain, held up by repetition, but they are not the truth. The truth is quieter. It waits for you in stillness. And when you return to it, everything begins again. You can change. You can whistle. You can begin again, as many times as it takes. You don't become by force, you become by remembering. The world will try to convince you that you need to chase more success, more validation, more noise. But the truth is, most of what you're seeking isn't ahead of you. It's already within. Becoming isn't about building a new self to impress the world. It's about returning to the self that doesn't need to. There will always be distractions. Always a voice trying to pull you back into the familiar. The comfortable loop of doubt, excuses, and delay. But growth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from the willingness to stand in discomfort long enough for something inside you to wake up. Every time you resist the old pull, even for a moment, you grow. The mind will whisper 100 reasons why you can't change. Your past, your age, your circumstances, your fears. But those are only stories. You don't owe your past an explanation. You don't owe your limits your loyalty. You are allowed to walk away from everything you've been taught to fear. You are allowed to outgrow even the versions of yourself that once kept you safe. To become is not to race toward an image. It's to move inward, to meet yourself with honesty. Ask yourself who you are when no one's watching, who you are when there's nothing left to prove. That's the version of you that's real. And that's where all change begins. Not in the spotlight, but in the shadows, in the quiet decisions, in the small refusals, in the gentle acts of persistence when the world isn't watching. You don't need to wait for permission. You don't need to be perfect. You only need to begin with truth, with intention, and with the courage to keep choosing what feels right over what feels easy. Becoming is not dramatic. It is deliberate, and that is enough. You will be tempted to measure your growth by what others can see, the results, the recognition, the applause. But real transformation often happens in silence. Not in moments of praise, but in moments of quiet resistance. When you choose not to go back to what broke you, when you pause before reacting, when you keep showing up, even when no one claps for it. That is becoming. The change you seek doesn't arrive all at once. It builds slowly, in layers. It's not made from grand declarations, but from subtle shifts. How you speak to yourself, how you carry your disappointments, how you respond to discomfort. It happens in the space between impulse and action, in the space where you choose again and again and again. Others might not notice the work you're doing. They may still speak to the older version of you. Let them. Your job is not to convince them you've changed. Your job is to stay loyal to the new path, even when the old one calls your name. Especially then. There will be days you want to give up. Days when it feels like nothing is changing. That's part of the process. You're dismantling patterns that have ruled your life for years. Of course it will feel heavy. Of course it will feel unfamiliar. But becoming isn't about how you feel. It's about what you choose in spite of how you feel. Hold steady. You are not meant to be understood by everyone. You are not meant to be the same person forever. Growth often feels like loss of identity, of familiarity, of comfort. But what you're losing was never meant to stay. What's ahead is unknown, yes, but it's also more honest, and it's yours to claim. You don't have to rebuild your life overnight. You only need to be faithful to the next step. The mind wants to see the whole path before it begins. But clarity is something you earn through movement. You learn by doing. You grow by showing up. The path reveals itself to those who keep walking. There will be fear, that's normal. Fear shows up every time you challenge your limits. Every time you step into the unknown, it rises. But fear doesn't mean stop. It means you're moving. It means you've left your comfort zone. And that's exactly where becoming begins. Not where it's safe, but where it's honest. You may not feel ready. You may think you need to wait until you're stronger, more confident, more certain. But certainty is not a requirement. Action is. Courage grows in motion. Strength comes from lifting the weight, not from avoiding it. The future you want isn't waiting for a better version of you. It's waiting for the real one to show up. You are not who you were. You don't need to answer to the old version of you. You don't need to explain why you're changing, why you're shedding roles that no longer fit, or relationships that no longer nourish you. You are allowed to evolve without apology. You are allowed to protect your peace even when others don't understand. Becoming means outgrowing parts of your past without resentment. It means forgiving yourself for what you didn't know. It means holding space for what you're still learning. And most of all, it means not waiting. Not waiting for a perfect moment. Not waiting for full confidence. Not waiting for everyone's approval. It means starting now to go on with what you have, where you are, exactly as you are. You'll notice something strange as you grow. The more aligned you become with your true self, the more resistance you'll meet from the outside world. People may question you. They may pull away, mock your changes, or try to pull you back into who you used to be. Don't be alarmed. That's not a sign you're doing something wrong. It's a sign you're leaving a version of yourself behind. Not everyone will rise with you. Not everyone will understand the quiet ways you're changing. You're not obligated to explain your healing to those who only knew you in your hurting. Your growth is sacred. Protect it. And understand this, not every battle is worth fighting. Sometimes becoming means walking away, not to escape, but to reclaim. Peace is not a passive state. It is a boundary. It is the discipline to let go of what costs your spirit too much. You may look around and feel like nothing is happening, but underneath the surface, everything is. Your patience, your restraint, your commitment to small changes. They are creating new roots. Becoming is slow. It's not meant to impress others. It's meant to stabilize you. You don't need dramatic breakthroughs to validate your path. You need presence. Presence with your discomfort. Presence with your choices. Presence with the parts of yourself you once avoided. The moment you start listening to that deeper pull within, the one that calls you towards simplicity, toward truth, toward quiet, you've already begun. This journey isn't about chasing a version of yourself. It's about returning to one. The one who existed before you were told who to be. The one who already knows what matters. The one who doesn't perform, but simply lives freely and fully. Sometimes the greatest progress is invisible. Not getting triggered by the same comment. Not rushing to explain yourself. Not falling into the same old loop of guilt, doubt, or blame. These quiet wins don't get celebrated, but they matter. They are signs that the inner work is real. You're not trying to impress the world. You're learning to meet yourself, fully, honestly, without judgment. You're letting go of the performance. the need to prove, the urge to be understood. Because peace isn't about being seen in a certain light. It's about seeing yourself clearly, even in the dark. You'll notice you need less noise, less attention, less of the drama that used to feel like fuel. What once gave you validation and now feels hollow. That's growth. That's maturity. Not loud, not flashy, just a steady turning inward. A quiet return to your own center. Becoming who you want to be means stepping into radical responsibility. No more blaming the world for your mood. No more waiting for someone else to fix your life. No more pretending you are helpless. You're not. You have always had the power to respond, to shift, to choose again. Of course, there will still be pain. Life doesn't promise you comfort. It offers you something better. The chance to become someone who can hold discomfort with grace. Someone who doesn't need to escape the moment because they've built the strength to stand in it. Let others chase the illusion. Let them exhaust themselves trying to be everything to everyone. You don't need that anymore. You're not becoming for applause. You're becoming for peace, for clarity, for the kind of freedom that no one else can give or take from you.
At some point, you stop asking for the world to change and start asking yourself what needs to shift within. That's the beginning of true power. When you stop needing everything to go your way and instead focus on responding with wisdom, you begin to build a life that can't be shaken by temporary storms. The people around you may never understand your journey. They may still see you through the lens of who you were, but it's not your job to correct their vision. It's your job to keep walking, to stay rooted in the truth you're uncovering, to become so grounded in your own being that misunderstanding no longer rattles you. Let go of the timeline. Let go of the pressure to arrive. You're not late. You're not behind. You're exactly where you need to be to learn what you must. The transformation you're living through right now, the small shifts, the private battles, the quiet realizations, they are not detours. They are the work. Becoming isn't about finally feeling finished. It's about never again abandoning yourself. It's about returning over and over to the present moment. Even when it's painful, even when it's unclear, even when it's not what you asked for. Because this is the moment where all becoming begins. Not tomorrow, not after everything makes sense, but now. The person you're becoming is already within you. Not a fantasy, not a wish, but a quiet presence you've felt all along. Trust it. Move toward it. Even if the steps are small, even if your hands shake, keep going. You're not becoming someone else. You're finally becoming yourself. You are not here to live a life of quiet resentment. You are not here to keep proving your worth to people who never saw it. You are here to live fully, to breathe deeply, to rise gently into the truth of who you are. That's the real path, not one of constant striving, but of steady returning. You return every time you choose alignment over approval. Every time you make peace with your past. Every time you move through fear without letting it decide for you. Becoming isn't loud. It doesn't always look impressive from the outside. But on the inside, it's everything. It's freedom. It's wholeness. It's the soft power that says, I no longer need to be anything but true. The world may try to distract you again. It will offer you shortcuts and noise. It will try to convince you that you need to compete, to compare, to be more. But you'll recognize it now for what it is, a mirage. You don't need to chase the image. You only need to trust the essence. If you forget, come back. If you fall, get up slowly. If you doubt, breathe deeper. There is no final version of you to reach. There is only this unfolding, this becoming, this beautiful returning to the self that has always waited beneath the noise. You've carried enough shame. You've delayed your becoming long enough. You've dimmed your light to fit into places that never deserved you. Now, you choose a different way, not because you're trying to prove anything, but because you're done hiding. The world doesn't need a copy of someone else. It needs your honesty, your clarity, your stillness. The peace you've been chasing, it lives in you. And the moment you stop reaching outward and start standing inward, you'll feel it. You've always had the strength. Now you begin to live like it,